Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really excited to see you here today and to make a craft with you. I know if you're watching live here in Rhode Island, it's kind of a gray, rainy day. So I brought us some snow since today we'll be making snow globes just to get us excited for the holiday season and being cozy and playing in the snow. I think it's going to snow later this week, so that's a good sign. Today we are going to be making snow globes using glass jars. So if you're, a lot of the foods that we eat, they come in glass jars. Like this was from some spices. This was also a little jar that had spices in it. And my last jar is over here. And I can't remember, this might have been an olive jar, or maybe it had some salsa in it. So pay attention as you're eating things and notice if they came in a glass jar, because you'll want to wash those and put them aside for this craft if you haven't already. So the materials we'll need for our craft today are glass jars, and you can see that a lot of times our glass jars, if they're recycled, they might have a label sticking onto them. To get that label off, you will need to use really hot water. You can use a little bit of dish soap and a scrubber of some sort, and you can usually get labels off by scrubbing. There are some other techniques, so you can look up how to get labels and adhesives off of glass, and you might find some more helpful hints and tricks to do that. So you'll need jars, and you'll need some water. Distilled water is the best because it's not going to get cloudy. Sometimes the water from our tap might have some minerals in it that over time our snow globe in our glass jar might start looking a little cloudy. So it's really fine if you just have tap water. You can use tap water, but if you have distilled water, it's even better. And that could be a bottled water. That could be water that's in a gallon like this. You're also going to, you don't need this, but I suggest a little bit of baby oil or glycerin. I think this was about $2 for a small bottle of baby oil. And putting that baby oil in the water will just help our snowflakes and our snow globes fall a little more gently and natural rather than falling really quickly. So it will be really beautiful when we shake our snow globes to see that snow or glitter falling gently down, and a little bit of glycerin or baby oil will help with that. Then, of course, for our snow, we're going to need some glitter. You can use different colors. I would suggest a silver or a white style of glitter. This one's sort of like a rainbow silver, but you know, maybe you want to make a golden snow globe. So any color is fine, but if you want it to look like snow, you will probably want to use a silver color. You can also sometimes at a craft store find that fake snow that we might think of that gets used in snow globes. And who knows, maybe you can look up a way to make your own snow at home. You're also going to need some kind of glue. So I have regular Elmer's craft glue here. You could use the white kind or the clear kind. But for this video, I'm going to be using a hot glue gun and glue sticks. The way that a hot glue gun works is this one's actually steaming hot right now because I plugged it in before our session. So you need to be very careful and definitely have a grown-up do this part. Even myself, I burn myself a lot, and I try to be extra careful because this metal tip of the glue gun is just super, super hot. And the way that these glue sticks work is I'll open the packet, I'll take one out, and then I sort of feed it in the back end of the glue gun, like this. Mine has some old dried glue in the back, so it's a little challenging. Let's see if I can clear the way. I'll work on that a little more, but you push the glue in this way, and it will, as you press this, it will push hot glue out of the hot tip. And the reason I'm going to use hot glue is because it dries really quickly, so it'll be easy for me to show you what to do. And it's also pretty waterproof, because if we think about our snow globes, we're going to put something inside, we're going to put water inside, and then what we're going to want to do is make sure that the edge is sealed so that when we make our snow globes and shake them, water is not going to leak out everywhere. And the last thing that you'll need is some characters to go inside of your snow globe. So think about what kind of wintry scene you want to create. For myself, I was looking around the house, seeing if I had any little toys that I didn't really play with, but that I would like to have on display in a snow globe. I experimented with making some shapes. So I used wire to make a, let's see if you can see it. It's a little hard to see, but I made a kind of like a Christmas tree or a pine tree for a winter vibe with a bell on the top. I also made some candy canes out of sculpey clay, which is a kind of polymer clay that when you start with it, it's nice and squishy. But then if you bake it in the oven, it gets hard. So I created a little snowman for one of my snow globe jars. I'm gonna see if I can get our light shining a little brighter on my materials. I also found some plastic toys I had laying around. I have a little football player, and I have a character from Mario Brothers. And to make him look a little more holiday, I painted a snowflake on his shirt. I also had a little plastic chair. I found a little Pokemon figurine. I think this is Nidoking. I found a ceramic bird. So really for your figurine, you can use a lot of materials, but I would make sure that it's a material that's waterproof. So something like plastic, glass, ceramic, all those things are great. You could even take a photograph of your pet or your face and laminate it in a laminating machine, or you could experiment with using tape and taping over the picture to waterproof it. And then you could put yourself in your snow globe. That would be cool. So really the options are endless. You could put so many different kinds of things in your snow globe. You just want to make sure that what you chose is going to fit inside the jar that you chose. So I'll just experiment and make sure that my character fits inside. And it does. And that's gonna look so cool and magical, like he's making the snow come down. All right, so I think I'm gonna choose this character and the chair. And the clay snow person as my two toys that I want to put inside my snow globes. I'm gonna put everything else away. So, you know, choose what you're gonna use based on, is this snow globe for yourself? So if I love to play football, maybe I want to make this one. Or maybe I want to make it for someone else, like my little cousin who loves Super Mario. I could give this one to him. And that could help you choose which object to put inside your snow globe. All right, I'm going to put away the supplies that I don't need. So just to review, we have glass jars, we have hot glue, a little bit of baby oil, some glitter, silver glitter is the best, and some toys or figures that we want to put inside our snow globes. I'm going to be checking on the Facebook to see if anyone has questions along the way. So I'm going to join in with you all there. Join in with you all there. Uh-oh, I can hear myself double. All right. Hi, Serena. Cool. I think Serena's right that this is a Magic Koopa. That's the name of this character. I love that Japanese mythology has a kind of like a lot of turtle beasts, and it has entered into a lot of video games, like in the form of Koopas, which are turtle-like monsters of sorts in the series. All right, so now I'm on the Facebook. If people have questions, I'll be able to see them along the way. All right, rolling my sleeves up, I'm getting ready to make. So let's start with the bigger toy first. I've got my Magic Koopa on his chair. And I'm gonna undo my jar, open it up. Again, I really made sure to scrub the sides so that it would be easy and clear to see through. And a lot of times our jar lids have kind of a dent in the bottom. So you can add something on top to flatten it out and bump up your figure a little bit. I'm not gonna do that this time because I made sure my figures were tall enough to fill the space. But if I didn't have my Magic Koopa on a chair, he would end up a little short in the jar, see? So that's fine, but maybe you want your character to fill a lot of the space. So you might want to add something underneath as a platform. And that's part of why I chose to add the chair. Plus, I think it looks kind of funny. So I like that. I think it's creative. And my next step is just making sure that these toys are glued down onto the lid that I have. If your lid is like a jar lid that has two pieces, one of those sealable ball jar lids, you're gonna wanna hot glue or glue those pieces together as well. We really want to seal everything that we're doing so that water doesn't leak out. So I'm putting some hot glue on the legs of this chair. I'm gonna need add a little from my glue stick. And I got a little extra glue on there. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Try not to be, it's easy for me to become a perfectionist, but I would like to just do my best. And it's okay if a little extra glue gets on there. All right, so I glued the chair down. I'm going to make sure that my figure still fits in the jar based on how I aligned it, and that I'll be able to close the lid. All right, it's a tight fit, and I think I actually pasted the chair a little too close to the edge. I'm going to try to pry it loose, and I'm going to try again. It's okay to make some mistakes. That's part of art making, is solving problems. Serena mentioned that, Serena says, I never drew that line from Genbu to the Koopas. You could be onto something. So Serena knew the mythical creature I was talking about, Genbu. You could look up Genbu and think about if you've seen Genbu-inspired characters in some video games you've played. And Lauren likes the mini chair. I don't know what it's from. It might be from, it looks too small to be a Barbie chair, but for some reason Barbie comes into my mind. My friend gave me a bunch of old toys once because I was making a dollhouse, and this was one of them. All right, so attempt number 2 at getting the chair in the right place. Leaving enough space at the edge that my jar can close. I think I did it. Now we have to make sure the Magic Koopa figure is not too wide and that they'll all fit in. All right, so it does fit. It's a little bit tight, so I could choose another character, or I could just be okay with it being a little wiggly. So I'm going to do my best, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue my character so that it will be tilted up a little bit, and that way it will fit in the jar. And it's kind of funny because it'll look like it's floating a bit, which I think fits with the magical nature of this character. I'm just using a whole bunch of hot glue. I know that anyone who's looking really closely might be able to see some of that, but that doesn't really bother me. And I'm going to hold it in place as it dries. And be careful not to touch the glue or the glue gun tip. I touched a little glue and it was hot. Again, I'm going to check that my figure will stay in. I'm going to add a little more glue. Really, it's like liquid plastic, the glue that you use for a hot glue gun. So when it hardens, it will hold this other plastic up in place. I'm going to be patient. Yes, Lauren asked, can we use super glue if we don't have hot glue? Yes, I think super glue is an excellent alternative. And like I said, even if you just have craft glue or Elmer's glue, you can usually make it work. You can usually make that work. You just have to be more patient, and you might need to step away from your craft for about 10-20 minutes to let the glue dry. But hot glue will dry a little faster, and super glue will dry pretty fast as well. We just don't want to weaken the glue by putting it all in water too fast. All right. I'm looking around to see if I can find a little extra material to wedge under my Koopa's feet, because I'm worried that it's a little unstable. I'm going to put a little more plastic in there. So you can see that I've glued my Mario toy down. First I glued the chair legs down, and then I glued the second toy on top. All right, so as this finishes up drying, which it's having a little challenge with, I can start filling my jar with water. And remember that I don't want to fill my jar to the very, very top, because if you think about, like, if you've gotten into a bathtub and you fill your tub all the way to the top, when you put your body in the tub, all the water will come crashing out because the shape and size of your body entered the tub and displaced or like made other water splash out. So just like that, our toys are going to take up volume. They're going to take up space in the jar. So we don't need to fill the jar all the way to the top. Depending how big your toy is, you only need to fill it to maybe, I don't know, between 2/3 or 3/4 full. And we might not get it exactly perfectly right. We could have a little gap of air at the top of our jar, but that's really fine, and that will still work well for a snow globe. So I have my distilled water, and it's very full, so I might spill a little. I'm gonna pour it in. And I know my toy is pretty big, so I'm leaving a decent amount of room. That might be good. It might actually be a little too much. I'm gonna pour a little bit back out. And I'm taking out my silver glitter. I'm working on a piece of paper so that if I spill anything, I can clean it up easier after. I know glitter is one of those things you could get everywhere by accident. And then a week later, you find a piece of glitter on your on your face and you're like, what? I can't believe this is still on me. All right, so I'm taking my glitter, and it's really up to you how much you want to use. If you were someone who joined when we made calming bottles, for these we used a lot of glitter because there was no toy in the middle. So we don't need quite as much glitter in our snow globes, maybe like a tablespoon or a few shakes. And I can see the glitter starting to fall to the bottom, which is really pretty. I'm going to do a little more. And be sure to put back the top on my glitter. Pulling out the baby oil. And again, it's okay if you don't have this, but it will help the glitter fall more gently and slowly. So baby oil or glycerin. Squeezing to open it. And this, I'm just going to squeeze in a few drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fell in there. I'll want to mix it up. I have a pencil nearby. I don't mind using my pencil as a stirring stick. Mix that up nice and well so that oil can disperse. Oh, I got a lot of glitter on my pencil. I'm going to try to wipe that off. This is what I mean. Glitter just finds a way. Finds a way to stick on you. I'm going to rinse my hand so that I have clean hands to craft. All right. Now this is the part I'm the most nervous about. I need to check that my toy will stay. Ah, it will. So your toy, when it's glued down successfully and the glue has dried, it should have no problem being hung upside down. That's how we're going to place it in our jar from an upside down position. And the other thing I'm going to do is put some hot glue around the inner lip of my lid so that when I screw it in, the glue will still be kind of wet and it will be able to dry and harden in a way that just provides an extra seal to my snow globe. So I hope I used a good amount of water. I feel nervous, but excited. I poured a little more water in. I'm going to place a bit of glue around the lip of my jar, hoping that can help seal the edge. And then I want to work pretty quickly to get that top on before the glue dries. So here it goes. The Koopa is dunking in the water. Let's see if it'll fit. It's kind of a squeeze. Ah, the lid is going on. It's hot because that hot glue is on the inner lip. But it looks good. It looks really good. I can't pick it up and shake it yet. I have to wait and be very patient because I want that glue to dry on the lid. But look how cool it looks already. It looks so magical. I'm really glad I added that snowflake to the Koopa's outfit with a little bit of paint before I started because it really makes him look like he's a winter wizard with that magical wand there. So I'm gonna wait just a couple minutes before I demonstrate the snow globe in action. Good job, we made our first snow globe. Thank you so much for joining me on that one. And now I feel like I know what I'm doing. It's gonna be even easier to make another one. So, you know, if you're careful and you collect all the glass jars out of the recycling in your house, maybe you have some neighbors, you can ask them to do the same thing. You could actually end up making a whole bunch of these and giving them as gifts this winter. Happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating. Me and my partner were celebrating and we played the dreidel game last night. And I lost. But that's okay. It was fun to play. All right, so that one's drying. I'm gonna bring out my spice jar that's tall, skinny, and kind of square shaped. I think that's an interesting jar. And this one has a plastic lid rather than a metal lid. And here again, for those who didn't see it, is the Snowman Sculpture. I specially crafted this snowman or a snow person. Maybe they're a non-binary snow person. Maybe they're a snow lady. I don't know. But here's my snow person, and I specially crafted them to fit the width and height of this jar. So they have extra snowballs than a typical snow person. And what I used for the nose and the arms were little pieces of brass wire. So they have kind of that orange shiny look like a carrot and twigs for arms and a nose. So I really like this sculpture. I think I did a good job with it. And this one will be even easier because it's just one piece than the Koopa, which that toy, I had to make it sit on another toy and it only just barely fit into the jar. But this one, since I specially crafted it, it's gonna fit perfectly. So again, same steps. I'm gonna use my hot glue or super glue or craft glue, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right on the base of my jar lid. You could even put a little bit on the base of your toy. It doesn't hurt to use extra. And just make sure it's right in the middle, not too close to the edges, because last time when I was gluing down the chair's legs were too close to the side, and then I couldn't screw it on because they were blocking me from moving the lid. So this time, I was sure to place my figure right in the center, and you can see there's a little space on all the edges. And I'm gonna wait for that to dry. And while I wait for that to dry, I think we could try out our first snow globe. What do you think? Let's see this Koopa snow wizard magic. All right, so I'm gonna flip it over. Ah, so cool. I guess I could have used more water. I was wrong. I thought it would displace more water than it did. but I still like it. I think it's great. I could really try hard to pry the lid off and put more water in and glue it back on, but I feel pretty happy with it like this. Let's shake it up and see it in action. Wow, look at the snow. I think that baby oil really helped because the snow and the glitter it lingers in the water quite a bit. It's really cool. It looks very magical. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's cool. My water is getting a little cloudier than I thought. So I wonder if some of my glue wasn't totally dry before I shook it. Just something to note. Also, the glitter I used, they're really, really tiny. So it will be interesting, maybe for the snow person, I'll use this glitter that is a little bit larger, like each piece is larger. And we'll see how that ends up a little different. Oh, I think this is so cool. Love my Koopa. All right, so I think this is pretty well. I can actually feel, is my hot glue dry yet? Because I still feel that it's a little warm. So I know this snowman's not ready to go into water yet. We want to avoid cloudy water that has glue in it. So Lauren had a good question. What's your thinking on coloring the water? That's a good question. I guess I can tell you from experience from making calming jars. This one has a little bit of yellow food coloring, which worked pretty well, but it will slightly cloud or change the color of whatever object you put inside. So if you do end up using food coloring to experiment with it, I would start with just 1 or 2 drips. You don't want to add too much, otherwise your water will be hard to see through and you'll barely see your toy inside. I can also show you another example of a calming bottle where I used a little bit of food coloring, but that's a great question. All right, so this time I know I'm going to use plenty of water and just leave a bit of space at the top. I'm going to pour that water in. Again, it's hard to predict exactly how much space to leave. I guess something I could try, here's what I'm gonna do. Since I know I miscalculated how much water I would need for this one, and I ended up with a whole, almost an inch of space at the top, and I don't really want to do that for my snow person. I'm gonna experiment with the top, which I think the glue has dried here, but I'm not gonna put the glue on the lid yet. So this is not my final step. I'm just experimenting to see if I use the correct amount of water, that there won't be a big gap at the top of my snow globe. So I'm gonna dip my figure in. And this time I had too much water in because as I dip my figure in, my water is dripping and overflowing. You can see that on my paper, it's starting to drip. So I'm gonna just, most of it already dripped out, so I'm just gonna get a little bit out. Then once again, I'm going to hold my figure upside down and experiment with it. So I think this is the perfect amount. There's no empty space. So I know that I'll add my glitter, I'll add my baby oil, and I'll get ready to put my glue on the edge so that the next time I put my figure in, it's going to be a perfect fit. And like I said, I want to try something new. So this time I'm going to use that golden colored glitter that has just really a different vibe. And I think that'll be really pretty with the white snow person. So I'm just sort of guessing, not too much glitter, but I've sort of filled the top with it. And I don't want to forget my baby oil. I wonder if I used too much last time based on how the water got a little cloudy. I really don't know why that happened. So this time I'm going to experiment with just using 2 drops. It's also a lot smaller of a jar. So I think last time I had almost 7 drops, and I wonder if that was part of my problem because the water got a little cloudy, and you can also see that some of the glitter is sticking to the Koopa, which I like the look of. It looks like he's snow covered, but it might not be gliding through the snow globe as much as I thought it would. It kind of is sticking to that plastic of the toy. So this time I'm going to experiment with just 2 drops. I'm going to go really slow and barely squeeze it, just sort of wait. 2. All right. I have a different style of glitter. And I'm going to find something to stir with. I want to make sure my glitter is not clumping too much. I'm noticing that some of it is clumping, and I'm not sure why. It could have, could be clumping due to the baby oil, or maybe it just ends up attracted to itself in the water. I'm not sure, but again, if you want a perfect snow globe, you could buy one, but these are crafts. They're gonna be perfectly imperfect, and that's part of the process. But as you can see, even when you make a little mistake, you can try again the next time a little differently and sort of figure out what went wrong or how you could change the effect next time. All right, so I've got gold glitter in my snow globe. I feel pretty good about how it's looking. I'm going to add a little more. And now I'm ready for the final step, which is to put some glue on the inner lid and then pretty quickly move to dunk my figure into the snow globe water. All right, so I'm using my glue gun and I'm going around the edges with some glue. I got a little bit on the outside, but again, you want to be really careful with hot glue not to touch it with your fingers. Sometimes when it dries, you can kind of like scratch it off, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And here it goes. Spinning the top on. It's nice and hot. Whew. So again, this is a time where we have to wait. This is the time where you most want to shake the snow globe up because we just worked so hard. We got it to stick. If I want to be extra careful, I could add a little more glue around the edge here. I could also get kind of fancy with a little bit of ribbon around the edge. I'm gonna go grab some. So I have this gold trim. It's a little gold ribbon. See if I can cut a little piece to add to my base. So I could decorate the base with a little ribbon. You could also paint your base if it's like this one where like a good amount of it is showing. You could customize it, and maybe this is a gift for my Nan whose birthday it is today. And I could paint on with tiny letters and say happy birthday. Or you can add a ribbon or really anything you want to decorate the base. So for me, since I'm feeling impatient and busy and I want to add some more gold, I'm gonna cut this piece of ribbon to fit around the edge here as I wait for the snow globe to dry. All right, feel free to ask if you're watching on Facebook if you have questions. And I'll check back on the post later if you end up watching it not live, but you have a question, you can go ahead and ask. You can also follow me. My name's MJ Robinson. You can find me on Instagram. My username is @Meejy, MEEJY, with an underscore at the end. So @Meejy_. All right, I added a little gold ribbon. While I'm waiting for this to dry, I'll also let you all know that I've been teaching craft classes every other Wednesday through Thunder Mist. So definitely keep following Thunder Mist, and keep a lookout for crafting classes. This Wednesday, we're going to be crafting unkillable paper plants. So if you're someone who can't seem to keep houseplants alive, or you know someone like that who would really like to have a plant but just don't have a green thumb, we will be making them some holiday presents on Wednesday night. And all you'll need is some collage materials, so like different types of papers in different colors, scissors or an X-Acto blade for cutting, and some Elmer's glue. Any kind of glue or glue stick should work. Okay, I think hopefully we gave this enough time. This is the snow person snow globe, and I'm going to go ahead, here it is, and shake it up. All right, I like it. I think that the glitter is falling in clumps. See how it's falling in clumps? And it's falling kind of fast. But overall, I think this is a really, really cute snow globe. And I think what I learned from these two is that maybe the best type of glitter to use is the smaller glitter, because for our Koopa, it does tend to travel around and fall down slower than for the snow person, where it's falling at a really fast pace. But we also used less baby oil. So for you at home, I'll be curious if you come up with any really great techniques to make sure that your glitter gently falls in your snow globes, your snow jars. We could also, I think if I were to do this again, I would experiment with the technique that I use to make calming jars, which actually, instead of using baby oil to help the glitter float slowly, you use clear craft glue, clear Elmer's glue. So I could experiment with making a third snow globe where instead of using water and baby oil, I use slightly warm water, maybe like 2/3 warm water. So I might want to heat it up, not to boiling, but just to warm, like something I could drink tea with. And about 1/3 of the liquid could be this clear Elmer's glue. The warm water will help dissolve the glue so that you don't end up with the clumping of the glitter like what ended up happening to our snow person. But I like the clumps. They're kind of like fall leaves or something. You know, so find beauty in your attempts. But yeah, I'm curious if anyone's able to try a snow jar with Elmer's glue and warm water. I think that could help the glitter stay suspended in the water for longer. So much more to try and experiment with. I'm so happy that you all joined me on my journey making my first ever snow jars. You can also purchase, you know, I like using recycled materials whenever possible, but you can purchase sphere-shaped globes to use for this craft if you would like to. I used glass because it tends to remain clear and last longer. But if you have a lot of little kids or pets that are gonna mess around with these, then you might wanna look into cleaning up some plastic jars or globes for this craft. It really depends on you and your life and your family, but I'm happy with how these came out, and I hope that you all have fun making your own as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and please join again for another craft night every other Wednesday night, or once in a while we have these seasonal crafting weekends. So thanks so much, and I will see you all some other time.